Over the past few years, the main focus of Destiny has been learning about the darkness and trying to stop the Witness. In just 5 months, our quest to keep the Traveler and the universe safe from the Witness will come to an end. But what comes next? Destiny isn't ending anytime soon, no matter what you see on the internet. There will be a new saga with new enemies and adventures sometime after this light and dark saga ends. Obviously, Xivu Arath and the Fanatic will make a return. We even see Furkel on the art for Revenant, the second episode after Final Shape. Xivu could make a return in the 3rd episode, Heresy, but I personally see her being around for a while, lingering in the background. A hive god who lost her brother, her sister, her new sister Eramis, and shown that her entire way of life and religion was nothing more than a lie, could spell trouble in the Destiny universe for a long time. There's nothing scarier than someone with power having nothing left to live for. Xivu seems to be the most emotional of the hive gods, as we see in Ghost of the Deep.
My brother is vanquished. Court scattered. Temples ransacked. My brother is dead, and his killers have not assumed the mantle of the Taken King. Blasphemy! Blasphemy!
Her emotions may lead her to take out her pain on the ones that stole her family and way of life. Even if Xivu makes an appearance in the Heresy episode, I do not think we will be killing her anytime soon. As a villain, she is just too valuable. One person I do not think we will see anytime soon, or maybe ever again, is Eramis. I personally believe Eramis to be one of the worst villains we've had in Destiny, so I think the less we see her, the better. And if you want to know why I think this, I'll put a short reasoning at the end of this video. My feelings aside, she no longer is even in the solar system. She left to find her wife and is questioning everything she's ever done. She stepped over Thrall and Acolyte corpses, picking her way carefully to the ship's navigation. Once inside, she opened an access panel and called out a centuries-old data core. She sifted through the archives until she found it. A detailed map of Reese, the Eliskni homeworld. It was the same map that Eramis's mate Arthras had followed out of Sol. It even included the habitable zones she tabbed as potential landing sites. But now Arthras might be Cal of her own settlement, living happily alongside their grown hatchlings. Or they might all be long dead. In truth, Eramis hadn't wandered at either possibility for decades. But ever since she saw the Witness disappear into its portal, Eramis could think of little else. All her prior aspirations were made suddenly small. Eliskni solidarity, revenge against the Traveler, enmity with the humans, they were all irrelevant. So I think at the very least it'll be years before we see her again. With the Witness gone, she really doesn't have any purpose anymore anyways. And no other character in Destiny has taken more L's than Eramis. I'm about to say the magic word here, Taniks. Our favorite Fallen has a chance of returning and being used differently than previously. Taniks mostly really can't die anymore. His mind has been uploaded to the Deepstone Crypt, which means unless we destroy his file, someone could always put him into another exo body. But even if we did destroy his file, he was still alive at the end of Deepstone Crypt Raid. We didn't kill him. If you linger near his incapacitated body long enough, you take damage. If you die, Taniks will laugh at you.
Guardian down.
I think Taniks will be used in a more interesting way by becoming an AI. Taniks has always been more machine than man and mostly lived the life of a nomad mercenary. It makes sense that his next step would be to fully be integrated into the computing system of a large facility. Imagine Taniks creating large quantities of exo-fallen and various weapons from inside himself. He could even remotely pilot a body similar to how Clovis Bray the First was in multiple places at once. Speaking of Clovis Bray, he's still alive. A lot of people think he died at the end of Season of the Seraph, but all we did was remove his mind from Rasputin's body. This is even more obvious because at the end of one of the battlegrounds, Clovis still speaks to us and mocks us.
Well done. You've thrown away one of humanity's most precious resources. And what's worse, you didn't have to. I could have saved you.
You couldn't have stopped it.
Clovis is a man, or rather disembodied AI voice, who wanted two things in life: to be immortal and to be God. He never really cared about humanity. He only hated the Traveler for being humanity's provider. So Clovis having his massively large ego smashed may lead him to seek validation. How he will do this remains to be seen, but seeing his life's work destroyed multiple times over would cause any egomaniac to lose it. Clovis has access to not only his facility, but now that the Deep Zone Crypt is open, could very well create himself a new body. We also do not know if Clovis kept any Warmind backups or had an auger mind like Maya Sundaresh. There may still be a lot of secrets and technology Clovis has kept hidden that we may see crop up one day. Another villain that could make a return is Nezarec. Nezarec seems to be able to return based on people thinking about him, dreaming about him, fearing him, and even hating him. We know that he has died at least 6 times. Drifter found his 4th tomb, Mithrax found his body after Savathun killed him, and we killed him in the raid. He also talks to us after we defeat him in the raid.
My memory will never extinguish. In your calmest moments, your deepest slumber, you will remember me, Guardian.
We know that there's a cult out there whose whole purpose is to make sure the final god of pain can return. I would love to see Bungie go full Lovecraftian in game and bring some really weird cosmic horror. There even was a group of scions that used to worship him, which is why people once thought he was a scion. But that is untrue. Nezarec is most likely a Kuju, a race of chimeras that live in dreams and are very powerful in the darkness. The Hive wiped out their civilization, but Nezarec fits the description of their race told to us in the Inspirial lore book. Nezarec for sure has microchimerism. He looks so different in the raid than in lore or the statues we see him in. He's kinda thick in the raid, I'm not gonna lie, because he was spending too much time around the Cabal and absorbed their body structure. The possibility of Nezi making a return one day is very high, which I personally would love to see. The best part of Lightfall were his whispers in the Lost Sectors and the mystery that had brought. I think the most obvious enemy after Final Shape are the Vex. Bungie has even told us that the Vex are biding their time, waiting to see who wins the light versus dark war before making their next big move. Which is smart. If you see 2 gods that can rewrite the physics of the universe, it's best to stay out of their way for a while. The Vex have a lot to offer in terms of story content. So far, we have only seen one military Vex unit, the Wyverns. Every other Vex are farmers and construction workers, so the potential of a lot more military Vex littering the patrol zones is high. I would love to see us go through the large portal at the end of the Glassway strike to the Vex homeworld. I'm not sure that will work out well for us though, but taking the fight straight to them instead of always be on the defensive would be a nice change. With how the Vex work in lore, they have infinite potential. The one issue I do see is that there isn't a lot of deep motivations or lore with the Vex. They have no emotions, you can't reason with them, they only have one goal: turn everything in the universe into them. Bungie could always put us into spots where we learn the Vex aren't as soulless as we once thought they were. To me, the closest we have to Halo's Flood in Destiny are the Vex, and Bungie was able to make the Flood very interesting in Halo 2 with the Gravemind introduction. There's also one named Vex we haven't seen in game that has promised to return one day. Aesop, the Sovereign, is an Axis mind talked about once on the Swarmers Exotic. Aesop the Sovereign, as he called himself then, made his promise of refuge would be safe once again. The people refused, Aesop's bargain precluded. Think of your dear children, a threat was eluded. The people held fast, Aesop's menace ignored, and upon them he unleashed his digital horde. The children went dark, their connection was severed. We knew then we had lost Neamuna's most treasured. Aesop withdrew and left us to mourn. I'll return one day, to us he did warn. This could just be a Neptune fairy tale or a warning for the future. If this is a warning, it shows that Vex may have more personality than we have been led to believe. Alongside the Vex, we may finally see M-Sun 12 make an appearance in the game. The Vex version of Maya Sundaresh has been talked about twice in-game. First in the Insight Terminus Strike, and more recently, one of the weekly Veil containments. M-Sun 12's digital signature was caught in the logs on Neptune for unknown reasons. We know from Clovis Bray's logbook she works directly with the Vex, helping them and even torturing and killing for them. Her motivations are unknown, but the possibility she is lurking throughout different computer systems, scanning for information to bring back to the Vex is very likely. What we do know is she doesn't have a body outside the Vex network. If she wants to interact with the real world, she would have to pilot a Vex body. She may even be able to take over other mechanical bodies to move around the world. These next enemies are the big ones and the most likely adversaries we will face after Final Shape. Their names are Atsat, Urix, and Amtek. We have never seen these 3 in-game, but 2 of them have had serious hand in a couple of seasonal content. We never faced her, but Amtek was part of the Season of the Dawn and the Sundial. We kill her sisters. Euryx was behind the Scions who tried to kill Zavala and take his light in Season of the Chosen. She has also made predictions we found during the exotic mission Vox Obscura. Adzat has only been mentioned in-game.
Location secured, Commander Zavala.
Good work, Guardian. What intel did you discover?
There's only one data artifact here, labeled Oxa, and it's seriously corrupted. Metadata says it was last accessed by an Adzat centuries ago. What is Oxa? And who is Adzat?
Those are questions for another day, I suppose. But for now, well done.
Now, while she hasn't done anything that we know of, it is possible the other two Scions are working with Adzat directly. The reason these three are most likely is that two of them are very, very mad at us. We killed Amtek's sister and she wanted revenge. When we put a stop to Amtek, Euryx took it personal and grabbed the revenge mantle and came after us. Since now Euryx not only has a prediction engine, but also light-draining technology, she could be a rather tricky enemy. Adzat we do not know a lot about, but we do know she was the most powerful Scion in the Cabal Empire and helped overthrow Callus so that the rest of the Scions could stay slaves. She wanted to be one of the very few free Scions. There's a chance that she has become a God Thought. A God Thought is a very powerful Scion. Their psychic abilities cause a lot of harm to less powerful Scions and were worshipped like gods. There hasn't been a Scion God Thought since they joined the Cabal Empire, but if she kept growing her power over the last hundreds of years, she could very well be the first in thousands and thousands of years. I did say I'd like to explain why I do not like Eramis towards the end of the video, so I'd like to get into that real quick. Eramis is a villain without an original idea. She took the Unite All the Fallen Houses passion from Skolas, and she took not wanting to be reliant on servitors from Furkel and Axis Prime. She had studied under both of them at different times. She also abandoned her family, like flat out abandoned her family, her wife, and her kids for a revenge quest. And in her revenge quest, she has terrible motivations for hating the Traveler. It's the toxic X, if I can't have you, no one can. But it's even worse than that. Let's say you're walking down the street with your girlfriend and a car hits her. She is psychologically damaged and ends up leaving you because you couldn't protect her. You're so upset that she left you and found a new home where she felt safe that you team up with the very person who was driving the car in order to kill your ex. And by siding with the person who harmed your ex, you turn all your people into zombies. That's Eramis' story. Someone who's so upset that their ex left them, they wanted to kill them, and sided with the person that tried to kill them the first time. She doesn't really care about her people. She cares about her ego. And is so wishy-washy in her ideas, she has the mental fortitude of a wet noodle. There are a lot of interesting enemies we could see after we defeat the Witness. There are even small enemies we could see crop up one day that are still around, like the Aphelion. I think the future looks bright post-Final Shape. I know this year has been hit and miss as far as story goes, but post-Final Shape seems to be heading towards good story content. I know we really don't know a lot, but the possibility of Praedyth's return in Echoes, more Fnatic story in Revenant, and a storyline where the Hive may abandon sword logic and heresy sounds fantastic. Thanks for watching the video, and if you enjoyed it, please comment, like, and subscribe. And remember, hunters never die.